Welcome to the journey. I'm your host Kevin Kamoyo, aka Ken Kam, Kenkam. And today, here with me in studio, we have a guest. One of the pillars that were used to build the peer influencers for Christ, a group that has been helping Reverend Don Gekandi in the ministry in the schools. And welcome to the show.
Asante. Thank you so much for having me on. You know, when you greet somebody, you greet them properly.
Yeah, properly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
My name is Peter. My name is Peter Mũthũi Mũrathime Thũmbĩ. And as you have said, thank you for hosting me. I don't refer to myself mostly as one of the founding members. I want to believe it is more of one of those people that were the vision bearers. I want to look at it in long term.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for having me on.
Welcome. So as we start the show, I want you give us the brief description of who is Mũrathime, who is this Thũmbĩ that we are talking about.
Mimi.
Yeah.
Now you want me to talk about myself?
Yeah, yourself.
So this Mũrathime, Mũrathime is 6'2". Feet long, eh? I'm very tall. Mũrathime is a graduate in psychology. Mũrathime is the son of Thũmbĩ and Wangari. Mũrathime is single. Yes, where you're
self-contained.
Okay, self-contained as they say. What else? And generally, I love what we do in our institutions. And it has been so much impact, and I've loved the impact and what we've been able to do along the way. And it feels so amazing whenever I look at that program run, and I think it is one of those high moments in my life. Yes.
Oh, wow. And to start with, how was your first encounter with the Reverend Donald? Your first approach, or how did you approach Reverend Donald? Were you approached, and how did you take it to join into the ministry?
Okay, so we had Youth Week 2022. The minister was new. She had not even actually been, do we call them inductions? Where she comes and then she spends like 6 months and then is officially welcomed. Eh?
Yeah.
So there is a gentleman, I'm sure you know Karanja Thuo.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman called Karanja Thuo. So during Youth Week 2022, Reverend Don happened to come to our church, Mitahato. So Youth Week was on 28th of April 2022, if I'm not wrong. And then we just met, got introduced to her. And then we scheduled a meeting. So the meeting happened on 18th of May 2022. We met at the Kamboi Presbytery offices. And I remember, you know Reverend Don, and she's a very chatty person. So we were just chatting, and she was asking me some of the challenges and how we cope with them and what we do and how we manage. You know, she's such a kind person, eh? And as we were going through those that back and forth, I happened to inquire on what her expected role was, because initially I thought she was chaplain to one institution, like maybe Kadirimo or maybe Kamboi, because I've heard of such. Yeah? And then she told me no, she was chaplain over 17 institutions. And well, I asked her how she manages to do 17 institutions. Kanyambia, it's proving tough, but she's trying to lay down work. So she gave me, I remember it was draft copy number 14 of 2022 of what she had thought she would implement. And I asked her, now because these institutions have, they have sessions, let's say like primary school institutions have sessions on Friday, let's say 8 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. and they run concurrently in all 9 institutions. How will she manage? So Kanyambia, she tries to do one institution this week, the other institution the next week. And that is when I asked her if she would fancy the idea of bringing forth a group that would help her. I told her I've always been a good mobilizer. That is one of my pros. And I told her we could mobilize and see what we could do. I remember she called Karanja Thuo again while we were seated there at the office. We sold the idea to Karanja Thuo, and boom, that was member number 1, member number 2, member number 3 PIC, in that order. That is, those were the first 3 founding members. So we agreed to have a sitting. We agreed we would have a sitting. And I remember I had a friend, actually I had 2 friends, 2 lady friends. One had cleared Form 4 the previous year. You remember that period between 2021 and 2022, actually 2 classes would clear Form 4 the same year because of COVID and how we tried to adjust post-COVID, right?
Sure.
So I remember calling my friend Anne. She was at home. She had finished Form 4 and she was to join campus in September. So I remember calling her and asking her if she would fancy such an idea, and she told me she would have to consult, blah blah blah, and she would come in. I called another friend of mine, anaitwa Vero, and Vero at that period naye akaniambia sawa, though yeye alikuwa na work, so her schedule was a bit tight, but she also agreed. And I believe that is when we decided to form a WhatsApp group to just tabulate on what we will do. And after a few weeks we had our very first sitting, and in that sitting, that is when we drew that famous yellow manila paper. That one is a piece of history. Tungekuwa kwa ofisi ungeiona. And like I told you, Vero was not available, so it was Reverend Don and 3 other people. And I know you've seen it, even though to me fix up.
I've seen it, and guys, I'll find that Manila paper. I'll photograph it and show you their draft, what they were doing back then. And it was they were trying to fix themselves. You go to this school now, you go to the other school in the next week, and they came. We came joining, actually. I remember it's Vero who introduced me to the team, and I found you carrying a cake one day. That's when I joined the PAC.
that was induction day.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can get that photo. There's a photo there. Is it accessible? Maybe we would show that photo. That was induction day, Reverend Don's. Is it accessible?
It is accessible. At the end of this video, you'll get that photo.
Oh, okay. So what happened is her induction was I can't recall the exact day, but it was in June 2022, Pale Kamboi, and we had done like 3 weeks of going to schools. So I remember speaking to her and telling her your induction is coming up, and we would love to identify ourselves in a certain way. And that was when I was given the role. That is when I was given the role of making those polos. You see those nice polos you see in that photo. So I went to Nairobi, made those polos, ensured those polos were with everybody. And could be, was it 6th of June? Sikumbuki kama ilikuwa 6th of June, but it was, I am very sure it was in June 2022. That is when we done that. And we had a very grand celebration, and then people just began coming on board. People just began networking. All of a sudden we had a very big concrete team of people that were on board and that were very passionate about what Reverend Don was doing in our institutions and about the ministry. Now, that is how the group grew. And when I look back, almost 3 years ago now, and I see we are now at 20 something members. Well, I am humbled and amazed by the grace of God, because it's been quite the journey. Imekuwa safari, and Mungu amekuwa tu mwaminifu, and I'm happy because there's been super impact along the way. There's been super impact. So many lives touched, so many futures impacted, so many things done. Yeah. So with the so many things, as we look forward to winding up this thing, I want us you give the challenges that you have faced
inside the PIC, all through this ministry, and the achievement so far?
Hey, challenges and achievements. Let me begin with the challenges. I would say the biggest challenge has been, well, at times, you know, the weather has been quite a challenge, because, you know, for primary schools, the missions are done on Friday morning.
Yeah.
So, for example, you wake up on a Friday morning and it is raining, and you know our way of accessing these institutions is mostly via motorbikes. So weather has been quite an issue. It's been quite an issue. Also, weather has impacted in the sense that you are available and you go to these institutions, but they don't have assemblies because of weather, and that affects your output. We've also had a challenge with resources. You know, ministry requires resources, and I must acknowledge also, as I paint out that challenge, that Reverend Don has done really well in regards to matters of resource mobilization for this group and ensuring it runs forward and smoothly. Another challenge has been availability of some of our members. You know, people our age are in what we call the transitional phase of life. So today I am jobless, tomorrow, God willing, niko na kazi, so I become unavailable. As for the benefits, for the good things, I would say, one, for me, this has been eye-opening. I've been able to see life in a perspective I could not before. It has also given me the scope of getting to practice and acquire my communication skills. You know, you're speaking to a group of 1,000 people at Nyaga, or a group of 1,500 at Kamboi. So it basically gives you so much time and confidence, and gives you the accessibility to these good communication skills, and you are able to talk to people and it becomes a part of you. Of course, I cannot fail to mention my interaction with the Word of God. It's made me a better Christian, if I may say it in that perspective, and it's helped me grow. It's helped me actually in my career as a psychologist just get to see what we call the contradicting perspectives of how life is upon different people. Yes.
Yeah, so one word as we wind up for maybe someone who wants to join the team.
Karibu sana. Karibu sana. It's a journey you will not regret. It's a journey you will enjoy. It's a journey definitely you will get to appreciate. And I would also want to thank Reverend Don with that 10 seconds I have, because we didn't have this before. So the fact that she was accommodating enough to allow us to have this is a great thing. Na ubarikiwe sana, Rev.
So may God bless you. We meet you as we approach the next PS Influencers for Christ member. Thank you.